Well, hello people, look what we've got to play with today. It is the brand new Honda NT1100. This is the manual. Let's see how we get on. I really need a pee. Nationals! I had to go and pick up some fuel for my lawnmower. You don't feel you're doing what you're doing. I tell you what I'm going to be doing in a minute, wetting myself. I need a pee. Okay then, let's see how it does on the motorways. So we're at motorway speed. Doesn't feel like too much wind turbulence off the screen. It's a very big flat screen, isn't it? But it feels alright. I don't feel like there's much wind turbulence around my helmet. I feel a little bit at the edge of the shoulders, but that's it. So that was fourth gear, sort of 5,000 revs, not much pull. It's not the sportiest sport tourer I've ever ridden, for sure. This is a big V-twin engine, but I'll tell you, the big old boxer engine's got loads more grunt than this. Something like an RT would eat this for breakfast in terms of acceleration and power and a general sporty feel. I've not ridden the new J6S 1000 GT yet. I'm waiting to get my hands on that at some point. But yeah, I mean, for motorway, could you munch miles? Yeah, you certainly could. Comfort-wise, as a rider, well, I feel the pegs are quite high, actually. Not sports bike-esque, but certainly not as comfortable as the other bikes I've just mentioned, that's for sure. It's sort of leaving me a bit empty on the motorway, to be honest. Let's get her on some good quality A and B roads, have some fun. So, roundabouts. A couple of roundabouts back there. Felt good, this. Very planted. Dare I say it, even quite athletic, to be honest. So I'm doing a nice little route. Done a few times now. Plotted it on Calimoto. I call it the Kent TT. It's great fun. Goes all the way down to Rye. Load of fun. Okay, so into town. I've just done a bit of progressive riding, just to see what the bike handles like in some not massively twisty roads, but you know, the sort of bends, flowing bends along here on the A20 where you can get a little bit of a pace up. I've got to say, the suspension does feel a little bit squidgy. It did start to, you know, wallop around a little bit, going round the bends and putting the power on coming out the bend. So I'm going to find somewhere to stop, and hopefully I'll be able to add a turn or two to the rear shock, firm it up a bit. But for filtering through the town, yeah, it's fine. Very stable, very stable. At slow speeds, the bike just feels planted. Brakes feel maybe just a wee bit sort of grabby on the initial bite. Something I have noticed is that it does seem to be really vibey through the handlebars. My right hand, my throttle hand in particular, was feeling really quite numb. Oh, right, let's have a look. There's the rear shock. So we want to put on a bit more preload. See how that feels. Just done a couple of turns. Let's try that. Yeah, that feels a bit better already, actually. It doesn't feel as wallopy in the rear. I am finding the fueling quite snatchy, actually. Initially I didn't think it was too bad, but it's really quite snatchy if you want to try and hold a sort of lowish speed. Anything below 50, really, if you're trying to hold it. You know, I'm in 5th gear now at 43 miles an hour, and at some points it sort of starts to surge a little bit, like it wants me to go up into 6th gear, which I suppose there's nothing wrong with, but I mean, it is absolutely gutless in 6th at this speed. Let's drop it to 50, coming up to a nationals, checking the mirrors. So sat at just under 3,000 revs, yeah, gutless. Drop it to 4th, 3,500 revs. There's something. Drop it to 3rd, just over 4,000 revs. Yeah, okay, so 3rd, the bike sort of comes alive a little bit. So you're going to have to drop, you know, if you're trundling along at 40 odd mile an hour through some speed restrictions, for a comfortable flowing ride, it really needs to be 5th or 4th gear. But you're going to have to drop that to 3rd to get any sort of fun acceleration up to nationals and beyond. I mean, am I being nitpicky? Yes, but this is a sport touring bike and it's got to compete with the competition. At the moment, you know, this should be bottom of my list for a sport tourer at the moment. There's a quick shifter on this, comes as standard, and a blipper. Not the smoothest, but you know, it is a big V-twin engine, sort of comparable, I'd say, with the big tractors, with the GS's. Bit agricultural, but it does the job. I'm noticing the front feels a bit soft now. This thing comes with Showa forks and a Showa shock. It's got a variety of different modes. I think you've got rain, road and tour, and then you have 2 user ones which you can customise to your heart's content. I do find these this Honda dash, I mean, this is very similar in dash and in the handlebar controls to the Africa Twin DCT that I took out. Obviously you can get this in the DCT. I actually thought I was getting the DCT, to be honest, but I'm kind of glad I got the manual. I prefer the manual. DCT is lovely in the Goldwing, but I just don't like it in these other bikes. I much prefer manual. I have no idea how you adjust that screen. Apparently it's got 5 different positions, but I can't find any buttons for it. I can't find any levers, and when I've tried physically moving it myself, I've gone as far as I'm prepared to go in case I rip the bloody thing off. But you know, the screen feels like it's doing a good job for me at the moment. Mirrors give good view behind, actually. They're not bad at all. Took me a bit of time to fiddle with them and get them where I needed them, but now, yeah, good. Sitting position's quite nice. Handlebars feel nice and wide. Comes with heated grips. It's got cruise control, traction control. It's a 20-odd litre tank. The bike comes with the panniers as well. The panniers are nice and big. You can get a 5-litre jerry can in them. I had to go and pick up some fuel for my lawnmower, and it fits in lovely. They come with some lining bags as well. All good. And all this, for the manual version, is round about £12,300, which is not bad, you know. That is not bad. If you want the DCT, it adds about £1,000, so I think it's 13,300 for the DCT version. But I don't think that's a bad price at all for a modern bike. Big bike as well. You know, it's 1100cc this, almost. It's about 1050, I think. I'm not finding it engaging, I've got to be honest with you. It's not doing too much for me. It's very easy to ride, very easy to ride, and it is deceptively quick. It's a little bit like the Triumph Big Tiger 1200. I never ever felt like I was knocking on with that, but you know, going by the speedo, I was, but it was just deceptive. And I think the same can be said for this. It's definitely dives quite a bit in the front. It's not electronic suspension, I'd have to do down there, but I'm not going to muck about with that. See, TMF gets white vans, we get tractors. This is going to be a bit boring for you folks. I'll see you in a bit when we pass this, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to do the lid road. Do a bit of Camber Sands. Now anyone from the southeast will be familiar with the Camber Sands run. Lovely bit of road. Bit technical if you do it at pace. Lots of hazards though, so look after yourselves down there, folks. And just for a change, I need a pee. Okay, coming into the Nationals in a second. There we go. So, Camber Sands run. Let's see what this is like there. Nationals! Now that suspension feels really quite really quite soft, and oh yeah, wallopy in the front. Very noticeable now. So when you're rolling off, the front sort of dives quite a bit. And when you're braking, yeah, it doesn't instill you much confidence, that. I find it I'm having to trail brake a lot more, but almost comfort brake way more than I normally would, just to sort of stabilise the front a bit so I don't get that sudden dive. That said, feels very stable in the rear. Doesn't feel like the back's jumping about, or the bike just feels like it'll take whatever line you give it. Just a little bit too wallopy. Lots of that motion going on. Yeah, very wallopy over the bumps there. Good selling point on this bike is that V-twin engine, the sound of it. You get the revs up, it does have a lovely roar. I think this sits at around about 100 brake and about 104 Newton meters of torque. So for a, you know, for a 1000cc plus 1100cc bike, that's pretty poor, to be honest. It's pretty low. And you do notice it compared to the competition. For me, the big letdown on this is the lack of like the electronic suspension. But again, this is a 12 grand bike, you know, not even 12.5 grand, and you're getting all of this. So for effectively, I mean, I can't believe I'm going to say budget for 12.5 grand, but it is in today's sort of market. You know, for a budget sports tourer, it's not bad at all. But compared to its competition, there is a reason that the price is so competitive. In terms of the gadgets and gizmos, I'm just in one of those moods actually today. I don't really want to socialise with anybody. You know, like, I just woke up with a bit of a cob on. It's probably why I've been a little bit negative in this review actually. Sometimes you do just, well, I do. I just wake up and I'm in a bad mood. I was kind of hoping the ride would lift me spirits, but just left me feel a bit flat. I watched the latest Nationals, the latest 44 Teeth vid last night. You know, they do the news. A big chunk of it was actually about how Chris is dealing with his depression at the moment. Fair play to the lad, he really opened up about what he's been going through. Good on you, Chris. And I urge you all, men and women, and those in between, have a watch of the vid. I think it's a brilliant thing that Chris in particular is doing, and Al's obviously getting behind it because it affects him as well with his relationship with Chris. I'll be getting my permission to torque sticker for sure. And if you ever do need to chat, folks, just drop me a line. Oh, that looks dark over there, doesn't it? Looks a bit rainy over there. Oh, I really need a pee. 40 miles an hour, come on people. She is smoking a fag. Now, I am dragging my toe way more than I normally would. Which surprises me because I thought the pegs were reasonably high on this, but that might just mean that, as before, the bike's quite deceptive. It doesn't feel particularly engaging, but you know, maybe I am going a lot quicker than I thought I was when I look at the speedo, and maybe it is that I'm chucking the bike about more than I actually realise. I don't know, but I'm feeling contact on my feet a lot more than perhaps I normally would. But this is a beautiful run. Oh yes, that is quite wallopy in the suspension. I've just gone over a railway track right enough. Now this road is where you could do with that nice sudden punch and grunt that you get off you normally get off the big V-twins, triples, V4s. Again, do you know what? I mean, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything, and I looked down there and I was over 60 already. Maybe it is just a deceptive bike, but I would like it to be a little bit more engaging for me, because it's plainly quick and it's plainly very agile. But it's not tickling the Watsits. Yeah, that roll on power was really nice actually. Right, let's just hold it in third and not work our way up the gears. Yeah, you definitely have to ride this more like an inline 4. You have to keep the revs up and the gears down a lot more than you normally would with a big V-twin to get the punchy performance out of it. There we go, scraping the boots again. Yeah, it comes alive there, get the revs right up, but you do notice that suspension. Very lumpy. Yeah, I was late on the brakes there just because the front is so sort of spongy that I was worried if I was to come off the brakes there, it would unsettle the front, because the front would start doing that. I'm just trying to trail brake that little bit longer into the bend to allow the bike to settle itself more before I put the power on. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Wow, that is a deceptive bike. Not a chance that I think we were doing what we were doing there. Let's just wind it back a little bit. Yeah, it's weird. You don't feel you're doing what you're doing. I tell you what I'm going to be doing in a minute, wetting myself. I need a pee. Right, you can see there, we're down to 1 bar. And so far today, we've done, I've no idea. I used to tell you how far you've ridden, but that's gone. Put the normal stuff in. So I've got 70 odd mile left, so I've probably done about 100 miles. So it's 100 miles in probably around about 3/4 of a tank, just under 3/4 of a tank. That's it rimmed. 14 litres, yeah, so 3/4 of a tank we've put in. And I need a pee. Now these are supposed to be self-cancelling indicators, but they weren't cancelling before. And they're still not. They're supposed to be. They say they're self-cancelling, but they haven't cancelled. Oh well. Nationals! 3rd gear, check the mirrors, far up the drive. I do like that roar off that engine. It's too soft in the front. Feels good though. It feels lovely in the corner, in that it does feel like it's following a line really well, but at the same extent, if there are any bumps at all, the whole bike starts to do this. It does feel like, if you were to really be getting a lick on, you either had to brake quite hard or you hit some serious sort of bumps, humps in the road, the chassis would just tie itself in knots. I know that's a contradiction because I'm saying it feels lovely in the turn. It does until it starts to go like that. I'll just get in front of this lot. You know, you just have to get used to how this engine works, where the power is. It's not like any other V-twin I've ridden. It doesn't even feel like the V-twins on the Africa Twin. Do you know, I don't feel like I'm getting a lick on, but plainly with the Speedo, I am. Really deceptive bike. To its detriment, to be honest. It's not engaging enough for me to be thinking, oh yeah, we're having some fun here. I'm just sat there thinking, come on, let's go. But we're already going quite quick. It could really benefit from like sort of electronic assisted suspension in the front, certainly, just to sort of firm that front up. But for this price bracket, for 12.5 to 13.5 grand, you can't complain really, can you? The quality of the bike itself, you know, is typical Honda. It looks beautifully made. Looks wise, I do think it's a little bit sort of, it's a couple of decades too late really for the styling of it. It doesn't look like a particularly modern bike in my eyes. Someone called it the Hoover, and I can see why they would say this looks like a Hoover. Pillion comfort, well, I've not taken it out with a pillion yet. Maybe I can get Mrs. Teapot out on the back and she can give you her verdict. If you want to see a vid review I did of the 1100 Africa Twin DCT, check that out up there. Please remember to like, share and comment. Subscribe if you've not done so. Get on out there whenever you can. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha! See you soon.